Grayview was a small, seemingly unremarkable town, nestled among rolling hills and dense pine forests. Nothing out of the ordinary ever happened here. Everyone knew each other, the streets were quiet, and crimes were rare. But one autumn evening, everything changed when 16-year-old Lillian Rose vanished without a trace. Lillian had been walking home from her friend's house. The security camera at the bus stop, where she should have waited, recorded nothing. Just a sudden break in the footage the moment she appeared. Her frantic parents contacted the sheriff's office, and Sheriff Harold Grayson launched an investigation. From the first minutes on the scene, he felt a weight in the air, as though the very land refused to help. Interviews, searches, calls, all came up empty. No evidence of a struggle, no eyewitnesses. It was as if Lillian had dissolved into thin air. The town was unsettled, though most still clung to hope that she had simply run away and would soon return. Yet a deep unease had slipped into people's hearts. For the first time in memory, Grayview felt the shadow of something sinister gathering at its borders. 4 days later, the weather turned bleak. Gray skies pressed down, leaves fell in swirls, and the wind moaned through the trees at night. Early on the fifth morning, the sheriff's office received a call. Postal worker Jeremy Blair had failed to return from his morning route. Sheriff Grayson drove out to search. A few hours later, they found Jeremy's mail satchel abandoned on a deserted stretch of road. Inside, all the letters lay neatly undisturbed, but beside the bag was a perfect circular imprint in the mud, as if something massive had pressed into the earth. No tire tracks, no footprints. Jeremy's phone was dead, his radio silent. Fear crept into Grayson's chest. He recalled Lillian's case. Camera failures, abrupt vanishing. This time, the clues were more ominous, but still offered no explanation. That evening at the local tavern, a shaken patron whispered, "They took him." Nervous laughter followed, but the bar's convivial atmosphere cracked. Grayview's fragile peace was fracturing. The third disappearance shattered any remaining calm. Emma Clark, a 42-year-old librarian, had gone out for a walk with her dog at dusk. Neighbors watched her follow the wooded path behind her home, and then the dog returned alone, dirty and agitated, its collar smeared with a sticky substance that smelled faintly of ozone. Emma was gone. That night, an eerie hum drifted through the neighborhood, like the distant roar of giant turbines. Some claimed to see lights, orange, blue, zigzagging, hovering over the tree line. Electronics in homes glitched, lights flickered, televisions flicked off, clocks reset. One resident swore she glimpsed a tall silhouette in her yard, arms outstretched, eyes glowing. Sheriff Grayson fielded dozens of terrified calls. He tried to remain calm, but even he couldn't rationalize what was happening. The evidence defied logic, and a collective dread stretched through Grayview like poisoned fog. On the fourth morning after Emma's disappearance, an elderly hermit named Val Rivers appeared at the sheriff's desk. Val lived at the foot of Twin Peaks Mountain and had the haunted eyes of someone who'd seen too much. "Go to the North Slope," he whispered. "Something's awakened there. I heard it. I saw it." Grayson dismissed him at first, until 2 deer hunters called in, reporting bizarre burn patterns in a clearing, vast rings of scorched grass, and symbols etched as if by something searing hot. One hunter even sent a photograph of a glyph resembling an eye with a triangle at its center. That evening, Grayson and his deputy Alex set out toward the mountain. They arrived at dusk. The woods were deathly still, no bird song, no insect hum, only the crunch of their boots. Their radios crackled and died. GPS showed them lost at sea. Pushing through the trees, they entered a clearing. In its center lay a funnel-shaped depression. The soil around was charred black, as though cooked from within. From the funnel's depths pulsed a faint blue glow, rhythmic like a heartbeat. Grayson and Alex edged closer to the light. The closer they came, the heavier the air grew. Words dissolved into silence. Sounds seemed to vanish before it reached them. Their steps slowed, as if the earth itself clung to their boots. At the funnel's rim, Alex froze. A jolt of adrenaline raced through his veins, and a distant drumming filled his head, like a colossal heart beating beneath the ground. Sheriff Grayson stepped forward, but just then, the sky ignited. From above descended a beam so vivid it defied all human spectrums, neither pure white nor yellow, but something else entirely. Alex collapsed to his knees. His limbs stiffened with paralysis. His mind reeled with impossible sensations. He heard Grayson's voice, urging him to run, then watched in horror as the beam consumed the sheriff in an instant. Alex screamed, though no sound escaped his lips. Then came absolute darkness. A void so complete reality itself seemed to vanish. No body, no time, only consciousness adrift. He drifted for what felt like eons before sight returned. He lay alone under starry heavens, no funnel, no sheriff. Alex struggled to his feet. The world looked the same, yet profoundly wrong. The sky was too black, the stars too bright. The air felt stale, as if the forest held its breath. He glanced at his watch. It was frozen at 11:33. His radio remained dead. His phone registered no signal. The only thing on his screen was a photo in his gallery he hadn't taken. A view from underground, framing a circle of sky with a solitary figure at its edge. He trudged down the mountain path toward Grayview. Hours passed, legs aching, but he pressed on, haunted by the feeling of unseen eyes trailing his steps. He reached the town border, empty, no cars, no life. Houses were locked tight. Traffic lights blinked without vehicles. Grayview felt like a lifeless set piece. At the first house he knocked, silence. The next two, the same. The third door stood ajar. Inside, dinner lay half-eaten on the table. The TV was on, but no one was home. It was as though the residents had simply vanished. Panic gripped Alex. He called out for help. No answer. The town had become a ghostly echo chamber, and he realized this Grayview wasn't the one he knew. Desperate, Alex sought refuge in the empty sheriff's station. The building was intact. Coffee cup on the desk, files scattered, printer still warm. In Grayson's office, he found the sheriff's journal. The final entry read, "They watch from within the woods. They don't come from the sky. They were already here. If you can hear them, it means you're marked." In the dim light, Alex noticed pale lines etched beneath his skin, symbols twisting across his forearms. Triangles, dots, interlocking lines. Then the voices began, low and insistent inside his mind, murmuring in a language that felt both alien and intimate. "You returned. You remember." He bolted outside. Store windows reflected silhouettes that weren't there. Figures flickered on the sidewalks. When he approached, they dissolved. A lone car radio crackled to life, broadcasting his own voice. "They are inside. We opened the gates." Alex fell to his knees. He understood then. He was the only true human left. The rest were either illusions or something else wearing human skins. But why spare him? Why let him live and know? Compelled by a force he could neither resist nor name, Alex returned to the mountain. Rain lashed his face, but he welcomed it, anything to feel something real. The trail and trees were familiar, yet grotesquely warped. Whispers rode the wind, calling his name. At the clearing, the obsidian black stone lay where the funnel had been, a perfect sphere reflecting the sky. As Alex approached, the sphere's surface shimmered, revealing not his reflection, but Sheriff Grayson's empty gaze. From beyond the tree line stepped figures tall and gaunt, shrouded in drifting mist. They stood silent, watching. In Alex's mind came those words again. "You are chosen. You saw us. Therefore, you belong." He tried to scream, but his body betrayed him. Paralysis seized him once more. His consciousness began to slip away, fragmenting into the void. Before oblivion claimed him, one clarity remained. He was not a victim, but a beacon. Through him, they would cross the threshold into his world. The next morning, the townspeople returned as if waking from a collective dream. None recalled the disappearances or the dread that had suffused Grayview. The sheriff's station was abandoned, Grayson's house deserted. Only Val Rivers, the hermit, stood at the mountain's edge, eyes hollow. He whispered into the dawn, "It begins again."